Hello, my name is Josh and welcome back to FPL Graduates. In today's video, we're going to be going through a Gameweek 37 free hit draft. For those of you who haven't used the free hit chip yet, there's only 2 game weeks left of the season, so time to use it is running out. So let's get into and see what is the best team you can pick for this week. Okay then, so getting into the defence, we're going to start off in goal. We've got Petrovic in goal. There's obviously a plethora of options this week due to the double game week. And obviously a few options, probably a little bit better outfield than they are in the team. So we're going with Petrovic here. Forest away and Brighton away. Obviously 2 away fixtures isn't ideal for clean sheet potential. But he does get a few saves as well along with that. So I think with Petrovic, you're sort of marrying the both together with clean sheets and saves. I think, yeah, you've seen with recent weeks that Chelsea defensively have definitely improved since going into this sort of 3-2 build up from structure. Obviously, Cucurella moving into midfield, and they've got the 3 centre halves at the back. Obviously, since Gusto has gone out injured, and I think obviously in terms of a Chelsea defender, in terms of the minutes, I think Petrovic is obviously the key one here. I don't see him getting replaced. I think Sanchez is still injured, and even still, I think we'll see Petrovic finish the season for Chelsea in between the sticks. In defence, we've got Gvardiol. Obviously, City are unreal at the moment. Obviously, going for the title. And until that's wrapped up, I don't really see too much rotation in the team. Obviously, Gvardiol has been popping up with attack and returns left, right and centre recently. And I think for me, he just edges it over Kevin De Bruyne in a free hit draft. Yeah, like we said, attack and returns are there. The clean sheets tend to be there. I know he conceded a pretty scruffy goals to Wolves, but I think over the 2 games against Forest and against Wolves in the last 2, I think City probably deserved to lose a clean sheet, probably more so in the Forest game, so it sort of evened out there. Fulham away, Tottenham away. Fulham got nothing to play for. Their players were flying kites in training this week, so yeah, seems like they're a bit on the beach at the moment. Obviously Spurs, small chance of top 4. For me, I think again, Spurs in recent weeks have not played well. The only caveat here is that every time City have played at the new Spurs stadium, they've not won other than once in that FA Cup round this season. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. But I think he's my third favourite City asset at the moment. Next up, we've got a Spurs player, and that is Pedro Porro. His attacking threat has been really good in the last couple of weeks. It's a shame not to get any attacking returns. I own him myself. Burnley at home is probably the best fixture in terms of a clean sheet, I'd say, out of all the doublers at the moment. So yeah, a decent fixture there. Then you've got the City at home fixture, and as I mentioned, City's record at Spurs has not been great, so anything could happen there. But yeah, again, Porro really good for attack and threat. And then finally, to round off the defence, is Dan Burn. Newcastle defensively not been too great. Obviously been hit with so many injuries. At the time of recording, we don't know who's come back. Obviously, there's rumours about Trippier being back for game week 37 for the Brighton game. We'll have to wait and see if that comes to fruition. If it does, I think, obviously, I'd go for Kieran Trippier in this position if we know that he's going to start both. But obviously, Dan Burn, what you're getting with him is obviously security of minutes and an okay attacking threat. Let's not go too crazy about it. It's nothing too crazy with him, but you're going to get those clean sheets potentially with Brighton. Not necessarily scoring too many goals. Only scored 1 goal in the month of April and only scored once so far in May. So 2 goals in a month and a little bit. It's not the best from Brighton. So a potential there. And obviously Manchester United. If Bruno Fernandes is not fit, it's probably an easy clean sheet there as well. Let's be honest. Okay, so moving on into the midfield, as I mentioned just now with Dan Burn, Bruno Fernandes is in our midfield, and now this is all down to his fitness. If he isn't going to be fit to play the first game against Arsenal, then I wouldn't include him in this draft. However, I think that if he is fit and is available for both games, he has to be in my FPL team, especially if I'm on a free hit. Arsenal at home, Newcastle at home, they're not the best fixtures, don't get me wrong, but if something's going to happen in this Manchester United team, it usually comes through him. Before the injury against Crystal Palace, he's been in unbelievable form, ridiculous form. So for me, he has to be in the team. Like I said, he's on penalties, set pieces, you name it. He's the talismanic figure in that side. We then got Phil Foden. Again, I think I prefer him just over Kevin De Bruyne at the moment. I think he's got the ceiling with him is so high. We've seen it in recent weeks where he's just double-digit hauls everywhere. So Fulham away, Tottenham away, decent fixtures for an attacking sense for Manchester City. Away from home will be interesting to see how they get on, but I don't expect them to drop any points anytime soon. Cole Palmer, be interesting to see his ownership. He's been so highly owned in recent weeks that he sort of negatively affects your rank at most ranks. Forest away, Brighton away, potential captaincy option. I think a lot of people might look to him as a differential, but we saw how badly that went last week if you didn't captain Erling Haaland. Forest away, Brighton away, again, two teams that don't really have much to play for. I know Forest are only 3 points clear of the relegation zone, but I'd expect them to be safe realistically now. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see, and obviously he's got to be in your team. I just don't see a reason not to own him. Next up, we've got Heung-min Son. Again, I mentioned it with the Spurs fixtures. Burnley at home, really nice fixture. I must admit though, Son hasn't looked fantastic. I know he has been picking up returns, like the odd return, but he's not looked great. And I think if there was someone that I would drop from this midfield if they were all fit, I think it would be him. I know that's crazy to say when he's arguably got the best fixture out of anyone with that Burnley at home fixture, but I think you could potentially go differential, maybe with Richarlison. He looked really good when he came on against Liverpool at the weekend, and I think if you could guarantee 2 starts out of Richarlison, I would 100% probably take him over Son at the moment. So yeah, it's an interesting spot, and I think if you want to be risky and sort of play the upside, I think Richarlison is there to be had. But saying that, Son is obviously on penalties and etc. like that. He does score goals. He's just clinical when he does get the chances. It's just that he hasn't really had the chances in recent weeks for Spurs. And then finally, our 5th midfielder in this team is Anthony Gordon. He is just unplayable really this season. He's been so good. He got the attacking return away from home last game with the assist. He's now got Brighton at home, which we know his record at home is unbelievable, and then Manchester United away, which right now you wouldn't bet against him to return in both of those games. So a really nice asset, and still not really that highly owned. I think he's around 60% EO in the top 10k, which for me is really low considering he's so consistent with his returns, especially at home. And then you got the likes of United away fixture right now is absolutely perfect for any attacker. And our final 2 forward positions are going to Erling Haaland to start off with. Obviously, as I mentioned, I probably wouldn't back against him on captaincy this week. I think there are gains to be made elsewhere if you're bench boosting or free hitting this week. But yeah, for me, captain this week, he's looked so good since coming back from injury. Goal off the bench against Forest, 4 goals against Wolves. He just looks so clinical against Wolves. It was kind of scary, to be honest, considering he's not really been at his full potential this season as we saw sort of last season. Really nice fixtures I think for him as well in terms of attacking these defences as well. So yeah, he'll be my captain for this week, and I think he should be yours too. And then we've got Alexander Isak to partner in. Brighton at home, Manchester United away this game week. Again, really nice fixtures for Newcastle from an attacking sense. On penalties, potentially. Obviously did miss that one against Fulham at the weekend. There's Burnley. On penalties, potentially. Obviously, he did miss that one against Burnley at the weekend, so it'll be interesting to see whether he does keep the penalty status. But he's been clinical from the penalty spot, so I'd be shocked to see him sort of lose penalties just by missing one. But you never know. Obviously, Callum Wilson is starting as well now for Newcastle with both of them up top. So a potential for differential there if you wanted to go with Wilson. But for me, I think Isak's a cut above Callum Wilson at the moment. So he partners Haaland up top. Some honourable mentions as well. Nicholas Jackson, obviously he has been in fine form in the last couple of weeks, and you could argue that he should really be starting in this draft. And I think for me, like I mentioned in the 5 in midfield, if Bruno Fernandes is fit and available for that Arsenal game, I'd be tempted to maybe drop Son over Nicholas Jackson, which is a bold call because obviously they do have Burnley at home, but I think it's a worthwhile call. So yeah, there is that sort of 50-50 there. I think I would try and start Jackson if you do have him or want to bring him in on a free hit. I think he's a really nice option, and just misses out just because the sort of things that I've said about Bruno Fernandes. But say if Bruno isn't fit, Nicholas Jackson is a perfect player to come in. Some other honourable mentions, obviously Gabriel, we haven't mentioned him, or Arsenal defenders in general. There is no reason why you could potentially not go with them. But if you are free hitting this week, I'd try and chase the upside with the double fixtures. Obviously United away isn't an easy fixture on paper, but obviously recent weeks would show us that United have been really poor, and there is a good chance of clean sheet there for Arsenal this game week. Lewis Dunk as well, Brighton defence has been okay. Obviously, he kept the clean sheet last weekend. A little bit expensive, 5.1 million, but on free hit, obviously, you don't really have to worry about budget too much. So, could be nice there. I just think the fixtures, Newcastle away, Chelsea at home, they don't really offer too much clean sheet potential for me. And then in goal, there's a whole host of options, as I mentioned at the top. I think Andre Onana could be a nice differential from Petrovic. He's going to get loads of saves. It's just the clean sheets I don't think will be there for Manchester United. So it depends how many saves you think he's going to get. And also how many goals do you think he's going to concede. Because we've seen that United do concede a lot of goals at the moment. Okay, so that wraps up our Game Week 37 free hit draft. Let us know what you think in the comments. Would you be starting Nicholas Jackson this game week? And who would you start him over in that team? Because there's so many good options in that attack. I just had to bench someone, so he would take the bench for me at the moment, despite those really nice fixtures for Chelsea. If you haven't already as well, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I know there's about 65% of you that aren't subscribed who watch us regularly, so if you haven't already, make that YouTube account, hit that subscribe button. We'd massively appreciate it. So if you haven't already, like the video, comment as well who you think will do well in this game week. And I've been Josh, and we'll see you all next time. Have a good game week, everyone.
You may rise, but you'll never